Picture this, Germany, 1923. A nightmare beyond imagination. A single loaf of bread, 200 billion marks. You heard that right. Not 200, not 200,000, 200 billion. Families are burning money in their stoves. Why? Because paper currency is cheaper than firewood. Think about that. Money worthless as fuel. But the horror doesn't end there. Fast forward to 1929. The Great Depression crashes like a tsunami. Banks crumble overnight. Factories shut down, one by one. By 1933, the number is staggering. 6 million Germans unemployed. That's 30% of the entire workforce. Families starving in the streets. Children begging. Engineers selling their possessions for bread. This is the Germany Adolf Hitler inherits in January 1933. A nation economically destroyed not once but twice. Devastated, humiliated, desperate. Now here's where it gets terrifying. Just 6 years later, 1939, something impossible has happened. Germany invades Poland with 3 million soldiers, 3,000 tanks, 4,000 aircraft, the most modern, most powerful military machine in all of Europe. In just 6 years, this bankrupt, broken nation built a war machine that would conquer a continent. The question burns how. The answer will shock you. It involves a fake company that never produced anything, a financial wizard who knew exactly what he was doing, and a national-scale Ponzi scheme that would make modern scammers look like amateurs. They were called MEFO bills, a shadow banking system that funded Nazi rearmament while hiding it from the entire world. By 1939, those bills were coming due. Germany didn't have the money, not even close. So Germany had no choice. Invade or collapse, conquer or die. The Nazi economy wasn't just built on ideology or hatred. It was built on a financial scam that required constant expansion to survive. Stop expanding, the whole system implodes. This is how Hitler paid for World War II. And why economic collapse made war absolutely inevitable. Before we dive deeper, imagine this scenario. It's January 1939. You're Germany's top economist. You know the truth. You know the economy is about to collapse. You know Hitler's only solution is war. Millions will die. Do you speak up and risk your life? Or stay silent and let it happen? Real people faced this exact choice. By then, you'll understand why every option was a death sentence. Now, let's start with the crisis that made this nightmare possible. To understand how desperate Germany truly was, you need to witness both catastrophes. The hyperinflation of 1923. The Great Depression of 1929. Two apocalypses in 14 years. November 1923. The peak of Weimar hyperinflation. A single US dollar is worth 4 trillion marks. Workers demanded payment twice a day, at lunch and at the end of their shift. Why? Because by evening, their morning wages were completely worthless. The clock was ticking. And Germany was running out of prices while customers were still eating. Imagine that. You order your meal. You start eating. Halfway through, a waiter climbs onto a table and shouts new prices. Your meal now costs triple what you ordered it for. Life insurance policies that families paid into for decades. They matured into sums that couldn't buy a single postage stamp. This wasn't just an economic crisis. This was economic apocalypse. The German middle class saw everything vanish overnight. Savings, pensions, investments, gone. Germany slowly recovered. The currency stabilized. People started breathing again. Then 1929 struck like lightning. American banks called in their loans. German businesses collapsed. Like dominoes, unemployment exploded. By 1932, the number climbed to 6 million unemployed. Families auctioning their furniture on the street just to buy food. Engineers and teachers begging for work as laborers. The Weimar government paralyzed. Useless. Political violence became the norm. Communist and Nazi street battles turned cities into war zones. Blood on the streets. Chaos everywhere. Germany had been economically destroyed twice in 14 years. This hellscape brought Hitler to power. January 1933. Hitler makes his promise. Restore German greatness. Rebuild the military. defy the Versailles Treaty. But there's one massive problem. Germany is bankrupt, dead broke. The Versailles Treaty strangled Germany, 100,000 soldiers maximum. No tanks, no aircraft, no submarines, no heavy artillery. And Germany has no money to build them anyway. Hitler needs to rearm massively, secretly, without anyone noticing until it's too late. He needs to do this with an economy that's been destroyed twice. Enter the wizard, the man who would make the impossible possible. Greeley Schacht, born 1877, banker, economist, financial genius. He'd already saved Germany once, in 1923, as currency commissioner. Schacht ended the hyperinflation by creating a new currency backed by land. It worked. Then, Rentenmark stabilized. Schacht became a legend. March 17, 1933, Hitler appoints him president of the Reichsbank, Germany's central bank. August 1934. Schacht becomes Minister of Economics. His job, fund massive rearmament without anyone noticing, without triggering inflation, without revealing the scale of what Germany is doing. Schacht is brilliant. And he has a plan. A dark, ingenious plan. Here's Hitler's challenge. Germany needs tanks, planes, ships, weapons. That means paying steel companies, arms manufacturers, chemical plants. But if the Reichsbank just prints money, two catastrophes happen. First, inflation explodes again. Germans won't tolerate that. They lived through 1923. The trauma is too fresh. Second, the payments show up on official Reichsbank statements. Foreign governments will see them. They'll know Germany is rearming. They'll intervene before Germany is ready. Hitler needs invisible money. Money that doesn't trigger inflation. Money that doesn't appear on official records. Money that doesn't exist. Schacht creates a dot in 1934. Schacht creates a company. Metallurgische Forschungsgesellschaft MBH. Metallurgical Research Company. Limited liability. MEO for short. On paper, it's a research consortium. 4 major German companies own shares. Nominal capitalization, only 1 million Reichsmarks total. In reality, MEO does nothing. It's a shell, a phantom, a fake company with letterhead and a bank account. But MEO is about to fund the largest rearmament program in history. Here's how the scheme worked. Nobody will see it coming. And it's brilliant. Terrifying, but brilliant. Imagine you're a German arms manufacturer in 1935. The government orders 1,000 tanks from you. But instead of paying you in Reichsmarks, they pay you in MEO bills. What are MEO bills? They're IOS. Promissory notes issued by MEO, the fake company. They're basically checks that say, MEO promises to pay you this amount in 5 years. But you don't want to wait 5 years. You need cash now. Workers to pay. Steel to buy. Raw materials. So you take these MEO bills to a private German bank. The bank looks at the bills. They know MEO is backed by the Reichsbank. They know the Reichsbank will honor these bills. So the bank gives you cash. Real Reichsmarks. Maybe at a small discount, but cash. You're happy. You got paid. Here's where the magic happens, the dark magic. The private bank now holds MEO bills. They take them to the Reichsbank. The Reichsbank converts them to cash using its money-issuing powers. But here's the critical part, the brilliant, sinister part. These transactions never show up on the official Reichsbank balance sheet. MEO bills are private obligations. They're not government debt. They're not Reichsbank debt. Officially, they're debts of a private research company. So when foreign governments look at Germany's finances, they don't see massive rearmament spending. It's invisible, hidden, the ghost economy. Between 1934 and 1938, Germany issued 12 billion Reichsmarks in MEO bills. For context, Germany's entire national debt in 1932 was about 10 billion Reichsmarks. Germany secretly added more than its total debt and hidden obligations to fund rearmament. And nobody outside Germany knew the full scale until it was too late. By 1936, Germany had violated every military restriction of the Versailles Treaty. Tanks, aircraft, submarines, a modern army. The Allies didn't intervene because they didn't realize how far it had gone. But there's a catch, a deadly catch. Those MEO bills come due in 5 years. The first bills were issued in 1934. They mature in 1939, and Germany doesn't have 12 billion Reichsmarks to pay them back. The clock is ticking, louder, faster. That's when the Ponzi scheme comparison becomes perfectly accurate. A Ponzi scheme works like this. You promise investors high returns. You pay early investors with money from new investors. It works as long as new money keeps coming in. But eventually, you run out of new investors. The scheme collapses. Everyone loses. Nazi Germany's economy worked exactly the same way. Neo-bills were promises to pay later. Germany planned to use future economic growth to pay them off. But by 1938, Germany's economy couldn't generate enough revenue. The scheme needed new money, fresh blood. Where do you get 12 billion Reichsmarks when your economy can't produce it? You take it from someone else. March 1938, Germany annexes Austria. The Anschluss. Austria has gold reserves, foreign currency, industrial assets. Germany seizes all of it. September 1938, the Munich Agreement. Germany takes the Sudetenland from Czechoslovakia. March 1939, Germany occupies the rest of Czechoslovakia. Czechoslovakia has gold reserves. The Coat Arms Works. One of the most advanced weapons factories in Europe. Germany seizes all of it. September 1939. Germany invades Poland. Agricultural production, natural resources, millions of people who can be forced into labor. Germany seizes all of it. The Nazi economy wasn't just immoral. It was structurally designed to require conquest. Hjalmar Schacht saw this coming. By 1937, he's warning Hitler. The economy is overheating. The spending is unsustainable. They're heading for collapse. Hitler ignores him completely. January 7th, 1939, just weeks before the first MEO bills come due, Schacht submits a desperate report method of preventing inflation. Reichsbank directors. Hitler's response. The report urges drastic curtailment of rearmament. Hitler fires Schacht as Reichsbank president. Schacht had built the machine, but he'd also built in a time bomb. And Hitler's solution: keep the bomb from exploding by constantly feeding it. Feed it with Austria, with Czechoslovakia, with Poland, eventually with France, the Soviet Union, everywhere. The war wasn't just Hitler's ideology. It was economic necessity. By 1939, Germany had two choices: economic collapse or expansion. Hitler chose expansion. But MEO bills weren't the only revenue stream. The Nazi economy had other sources, darker sources. When Germany conquered a country, they systematically looted it. Gold reserves, foreign currency, art, industrial equipment, raw materials, everything. In France, Germany imposed occupation costs. France had to pay Germany 400 million francs per day. That's France paying for its own occupation. Think about that insanity. In the Soviet Union, Germany planned to extract grain, oil, minerals. The entire economic model was parasitic, a vampire economy. Then there's slave labor, concentration camp prisoners used as forced labor in German factories, building weapons, manufacturing parts, mining coal. Companies like IG Farben, Siemens, Krupp used slave labor from camps. Prisoners were worked to death. When they died, they were replaced. The Nazi economy wasn't just funded by theft, it was built on slavery. This is the economic structure of genocide. Here's another scam: the Volkswagen, the people's car. Germans were told they could own a car if they saved through the Deutsche Arbeitsfront, pay a little each month. Eventually get your Volkswagen. 275 million Reichsmarks were collected from German savers. How many civilian Volkswagens were delivered during the entire Third Reich? 0. The factory was converted to military. Was proven right. But instead of pulling back, Germany accelerated. Because pulling back meant economic collapse, unemployment, political crisis, the end of the Nazi regime. Hitler's only option was forward, into the abyss. The war wasn't just ideology. It was economic. Necessity. The Nazi economy was designed to require expansion. Without conquest, it collapsed. The war wasn't just ideology. It was economic necessity. The Nazi economy was designed to require expansion. Without conquest, it collapsed. So how did Hitler pay for World War II? He didn't. He built a pyramid scheme. And like all pyramid schemes, it eventually collapsed, taking millions of innocent lives with it. The clock had stopped, and the bill had come due.